Hi there, today on Typical Books I'm going to do the spooky scary book tag. I'd wanted something little and quick, digestible, spooky and scary, and the spooky scary book tag definitely fits the bill. I don't know if you can hear that, but there is a vile beast trying to claw its way through the office door. Now, I had watched quite a few of my booktube peers do this, and the tag itself, it doesn't strike me very much as a bookish particularly or spooky or scary tag, but the things that it gets at are heavy, and that's the sort of horror I really like. You know, it's that sort of horror that really gets into your chest and festers there and makes you think, thought-provoking ideas of darkness perhaps. It starts out fairly light, but I find that those who I've watched do this tag have taken it to some unexpected places. I may not be as interesting as all that, but I do urge you to check out the videos left on the internet by Elizabeth Sagewood, Jason at Jason's Weird Reads, Dane Reads, and Spooky Noodles. Now this particular tag, I didn't do the homework of finding the original tag, because the last I heard it was by some guy named Alan. So the first question is, what is a scary book that reminds you of the year 2020? And many of the answers are The Stand, and rightfully so. You could go with any Robin Cook book, Contagion. You could go with all of those sorts of books too. But the first one that always comes to mind, unfortunately for me, is Hater by David Moody. And that's rough. You can almost say 28 Days Later with The Ragers. And where I really get unsettled and scared about all this, like, it's scary that people are dying, don't get me wrong. It's scary that we could get this by, you know, even taking all the precautions. If we accept a food delivery and wash down the packaging, you can still get ill. It's a horrible lottery I don't like at all. But what's really scary to me is when you're out in public and some of the first reports, like people that were robbing people, mugging people in the streets for things, not just toilet paper, because it's getting spooky scary. It's the tension that was building at the beginning, and there's still a lot of that. There was a shooting here over wearing masks, and this is a fairly quiet, safe area. So I can't imagine some of the crazy violence that has been going on. And you know, maybe I've read too many intense horrors like that where the world has run amok. Zero-day zombie fiction is one of my favorite things. Hater isn't necessarily zombies. It's just angry fucking people. And that is maybe the scariest angle of all of this, is that you never knew at the beginning who was going to be too uptight, and there was people getting too close to me at times where I would ask them as politely as I could with the most Canadianness I could muster, and they would snap at me, and I would just try to not simmer over because I had to be the one to maintain the stiff upper lip, I suppose, in that situation. I'm not sure, but there were some scenes of anger and outbursts and yelling and things like that I didn't want to be around, and had to scurry out of stores here and there. More so at the beginning, less so now. And maybe less now that we're getting closer to some sort of vaccination. Question 2 is, what is a new spooky, scary novel you want to read in 2021? And that would be Children of Red Peak by Craig DeLuey. I just saw Rachel at Shades of Orange do this book, and it just piqued my interest all over again. It was one of the new releases in Horror Writers Association. Mr. DeLuey is also a Canadian American, something I have an affinity for. And this is definitely riding on my love of the movie The Endless, about that cult that people return to. And it has a sort of similar vibe, I think. And it also reminds me a little bit of Devil's Creek by Todd Keisling, which I just recently talked about. So I think that is going to be a super fun read, and I don't have it here with me, so it's going to be a new read for me. By the time I get my paws on it and finish up all the other reading I want to do for December, I will definitely be primed for something very cozy and creepy. And I don't think it takes place in the winter, so I was kind of looking for something wintry to read going into January, but hey, that will definitely suit. I think that cult reading right now also fits, as much as people want to read things or maybe avoid things that have to do with contagions or illnesses or zero-day outbreaks and things like that. Cult phenomena really fits right in there, because there is a very us and them mentality here and there if you look into the darker corners of the internet. And what could be more spooky or scary in the dark corners of the internet? Number 3 is, who is an author you are afraid of reading? And that, my friends, is Brandon Sanderson. I am very afraid to read anything by Brandon Sanderson. I could also say I'm afraid to read something by George R.R. Martin, but I have one book, Armageddon Rag. I didn't realize that until recently, but yeah. Big authors like that everybody loves, or has like an opinion of here or there, or has a huge repertoire of books to read. It's maybe even a genre I don't really partake in. Brandon Sanderson. Number 4, of all the things that you have lost, what do you miss the most? And many of my peers here on the internet have had some great answers to this. And mine, again, goes to bookishness, because years ago, I parted with many of my books. I had moved house, and it was an uncomfortable move of house, and I was in an uncomfortable state for a number of years. And during that, I had to shed a lot of my belongings, and most of my belongings at the time, since I didn't have much, was books. And I lost garbage bags worth of books. There was a massive book purge, because at one point I had moved in with a family member, and we realized we had a full-on library, but then they said to me, they urged me to shed a lot of baggage, quote unquote. So I, being impressionable perhaps at the time, got rid of a lot of books that I really shouldn't have, and I miss them all the time. When I go to my shelves to pull out a book that I thought I had, I miss that book. The purge before that happened inadvertently, because stacks and stacks of books, because I had moved house a couple times, were being stored in a place where water got in, and the books molded over the summer, and there was boxes and boxes and boxes of books, and not only books of mine, some of them were heirloom books. So that is where, my friends, the first edition copy hardcover of The Stand ended up being molded, put into a wheelbarrow, and dumped in a fire. So, I mean, I lost a lot of books. I saved a few out of the moldy piles that weren't too bad off, but you know what, that smell, that feel, the buckling, the swelling, all those things that can happen to books and water, it's really irretrievable, and they went onto a fire pit because I saw no other fitting end to my precious babies. Question 5 is, how are you going to forge ahead in 2021? And I'm really staying even keel. I'm pretty lucky in that respect. I'm going to continue writing. I have a lot of writing projects that I have underway right now. I'm going to do a few booktube ideas. Actually, Merce dropped a really cool idea in the comments not too long ago, and right away my brain went berserk with all sorts of really cool ideas to plug into that. So I'm going to be bringing you some neat riffs on books and film. Also, I have started doing top 5s, which was another comment, another viewer suggestion request that I do some top 5 type material, and that is definitely happening. I'm also going to be taking a break from teaching, so I'll have a lot more time on my hands to do all of this fun stuff and to read books and relax and just have some time of quiet to myself. Right now I am filling pretty much all my quiet time with something to do, something busy, movie, thinky, doey, so it'd be nice to just not do any of those things. If 2020 brought anything really excellent, it is the 6 EPs that my husband has released under his band Project Anorex. So the latest of which, Void Score, just dropped this week. It's going to be on Apple Music and Spotify and all that soon, but right now it is at anorex.com. So definitely check that out. It's always in the comments below because I use his music from a film in the background music of all my videos. So yeah, definitely check that out because it is maybe the number one thing in my books that has come out of 2020. So that is the spooky, scary book tag. As I said, I found everyone else's answers very, very interesting, and it was so thought-provoking. It was such a cool tag, really, for being such a short tag of only 5 questions. So if you have done it, let me know. If you are interested in answering those questions without even doing a video, just answer them in the comments. Thank you again for watching, and have an spooky day.